Hello and welcome to the Embodied Women series. My name is Melissa Maher, and today I am joined with the beautiful and amazing dear friend of mine, Jessica Diaz. Jessica she began actually as a client of mine several years ago, and we've worked together a few different times and in different ways, and really have developed a connection, a sisterhood, a friendship that is very near and dear. And I'm really grateful that you're here today, Jessica. Thank you for saying yes to my ask of coming on and sharing a little bit about your story and your life. And so welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm super excited to do this with you.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. So when I reached out and invited you into this conversation today, there's a variety of topics that we can touch on. And one of the things I think I want to just kind of begin with is sharing with how you and I have kind of come together and the work that we've done together over the years. I know that it was a very kind of pivotal time in your life when we started working together. And having just watched you grow over the years, although you cannot really tell looking at her, she's a wise woman beyond her years, but she's actually quite young, in my opinion, because I'm turning 44 this year. So compared to me, she's quite young. But Jessica, really, it's been amazing to just watch you become the woman that you are today. And tell us a little bit about what your becoming was like. Like, where were you a few years ago prior to us meeting? What were some of the challenges that you were facing? And what did you grow into? Who did you become in the last handful of years?
Ooh. So, as you were speaking, I just remembered that it's almost been 10 years since we've known each other. I had
Really?
never realized that until now because I was 17 when we first met, and I am 26 now, turning
Wow.
27 this year. So that's like nearly 10 years practically.
I did not realize it was that long.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that long until just now.
Oh my
Yes, I
goodness.
was I was thinking back as to when we first met, and it was recently after I'd come back from England, and I knew I was 17 years old, and I'm
Wow.
like, okay, I'm turning 27. That's like 10 years. That's crazy.
Holy
Yeah,
cow. Okay, so maybe you're not as young as I think you are. I was
I
feeling like
remember.
you were maybe like 24 or something.
Yeah, no, time just flies. I remember at the time you were doing Reiki services and generational healing. And I first found you through Reiki. That's what I went in for the very first time. And we had a Reiki session. It was my very first time experiencing it. And I liked it so much. And I just felt so connected to you. I felt so drawn to you as a woman and as a person. It just felt so right. And I felt very safe. Um, and then I remember you invited me to come in for a generational healing session. So my next session with you was a generational healing session. And then to me, that was such a pivotal moment. It was so life changing because I felt as though I wanted that and
Mhm.
I didn't even know it existed. It was
Mm.
just one of those things that I couldn't label, I couldn't pinpoint, but I knew it existed in my soul, in my surroundings. Generational healing has always been important to me, and they were like, "Oh, I do generational healing work," and I was like, "I'm down." And
Wow.
then from there on, I think we did quite a few sessions, and it
Yeah.
was remarkable, very
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. I remember, and I often refer to my experience with you and our work together, how one woman shows up and how her showing up to do her work literally changes the lineage, because we
Literally.
saw that unfold in your
Yeah.
life and in your family. Like, it was
And in my
unbelievable.
family, especially the woman in my family, I've noticed a big shift in my mom's life as I've changed my life. It's affected her, it's affected my sisters. Um, and bringing the work that I've done on myself home to them has made it a big impact too. But on a very even non-spoken level, the change was happening. even before we could understand, through the
Hmm.
work of generational healing, which was so fascinating to me that I ended up doing the generational healing course alongside with you and some other beautiful, strong women. It was my
Yeah.
first time really feeling that like sisterhood. Um,
Hmm.
Deborah Sky and all the other women that were learning about generational healing, and it was so important to me. Like it brought me home to myself, and yeah, it's everything that I believe today
Hmm.
in
And
generational
what was
healing.
that? Yeah. And what was that like going through, like I always just I celebrate and I get so excited when young people come to me because for me it was like I didn't have my quote unquote kind of real first spiritual awakening until kind of your age now. Like it was 28, the first like
I
pivotal
did.
thing.
I did feel like a baby. I did feel like a baby. I remember because I was the youngest girl, and everyone was in their 30s, 40s, some even pushing 50, if I'm not mistaken. And I was like this baby amongst these like strong, like super wise, um, older women than me. But that's why I felt so safe. That's why I knew that I was in the right place. I just felt so understood, and it was like for the first time in my life I had words to to describe these feelings that I had had my entire life, and I found that
Mhm,
through you guys and through
mhm,
you ladies, and um yeah, but I
mhm,
was very young, but I
mhm.
was ready. We always believe in, we always trust the process.
Yeah. And do you think having that experience changed your beliefs a little bit about yourself? Like thinking like, because what I heard you say there was like, oh, I'm so young, but I'm surrounded by these wise women. Like, do you feel like that started to show you, oh, I'm actually one of those wise women too, just in a younger body? Did that at all happen for you?
I think I've always kind of felt that way. I
Yeah.
just didn't give myself the permission
Mm,
to fully accept that, because you're kind of always taught to be humble and to not think too great of yourself.
hmm.
It always feel from the time I was a young girl that I was quite mature for my age, and that um, I did think quite differently than the girls that I grew up with.
Hmm.
um, so that's why it felt so homey to be around you ladies, because I was like, finally, someone that speaks my language,
Yeah.
that understands me, and that cares. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and I'm so happy that you had that experience and that you said yes to yourself in those moments, whether it was like coming for those initial sessions or going deeper into the work, because I think sometimes we can get really like we could want something, but we don't actually follow through on it because of internal beliefs or stories or things that we may tell ourselves. So I'm really proud of you that you did that and that you stepped forward and started to discover your own spiritual gifts and who you are on a soul level. It's been really beautiful.
I've always been very interested in learning more and going deep into spirituality, and that was just like, I guess, the main door that opened that path for me was at that age of 17, and finding you.
Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah.
so happy that we've been a witness to each other's lives in this
Yeah.
way. And we
Yeah.
both went through so much, we learned so much, we went through so many changes. But that was the basis, that was the grounding of our connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you said both of our lives because you have been a witness to my life too. Although I've been the one who, holds the space for you and guides you through your transformations. Like it's literally, you're also witnessing me too. And that to me is such an honor because it's like, I get to grow right alongside you. Like there are aha moments that you're having that I'm like, oh wow. I'm like, she's speaking to me here. Like I'm not speaking to her kind of thing.
I
So
remember us having so many beautiful sessions where we just both end up crying for different reasons, where I would
yeah.
gain something and clarity about something, but then through me and my process, either through just holding space for me or because it brought some clarity or something of value to you in your life in that moment, then it was just so serving to both of us.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm just so appreciative of all the work
Yeah.
we've done over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Me too. And some of that work was um like deeply personal and emotional for you. I know that part of our intention with today's conversation is and again, I said this too off recording, off screen, but like as much as you feel comfortable sharing, but a lot of your story is kind of that phoenix rising because there has been some very challenging moments that we've navigated together. I mean, let me say that differently, like that you've navigated and I've been a witness to. Um, and part of our conversation here today is with the hopes of supporting other women that might be going through some loss or some grief or something that they don't feel that they're okay in. And I would love for you to share any words that you might have for a woman that is suffering in silence right now or going through something really deep that feels like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this.
Yeah. I think at different stages in my life, I had different things holding me together. I remember years back when I had a relationship of 8.5 years ending. And at the time, I remember having sessions with you on a weekly basis for 3 months was something that really helped me because I knew that I needed support. I was in a really vulnerable place and I needed to process everything that was happening. So I would encourage any woman, whether you have someone who is a professional that you can speak to, or just a family or a family member or a friend that you really can confide in, that makes a world of a difference to go to somebody that truly cares about your feelings and wants to hold the space through the process of your grief and your loss. And in
Mm-hmm.
that moment, I remember you absolutely being a pivotal pillar for me, just because I didn't have any shame with you. I could just release, and I knew that you were there and fully. Um, Family too was a big support. But then later in life, I found that even having family and even having support, that I needed something greater than that. And I ended up finding Jesus, and that's when everything changed for me.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been at different stages, there's been different support systems in my life, whether it was friends, therapy, family, Jesus being the ultimate. And yeah, I can honestly
Mm-hmm.
say that building a safe relationship with yourself is also very, very important. I've
Mm-hmm.
focused a lot on holding space for myself because even before I found Jesus, there were some family members that couldn't quite understand me or what I was going through, and having the ability to just allow myself to feel everything that I was feeling, knowing fully that this is temporary and this too shall pass, and I can go through this, um, is important. Building that
Mm-hmm.
relationship with yourself, with myself, it really meant that. And there's no book that tells you how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's that you learn as you go. As you go through grief and loss and life tragedies, you hopefully will learn that just like the things in the past ended up working out for themselves, or you heal from them over time, and but this too will be the same process, and just kind of hold yourself in the moment, or moments, or
Yeah.
days, or weeks, but have the self
Yeah.
compassion. I think compassion is really important in hard times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I love that, and I know we connected just like as friends on a call a few weeks ago, even before this conversation kind of came, and um, it was because of that post that you posted of your baptism, and I
Hmm.
messaged you and I said, "Oh, Jessica," I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God, this is so great," because
Hmm.
in my own life, I've had a really cool turning as well, where because I grew up Catholic, I was forced front row every week in my upbringing. And I
Hmm.
used to always say to people, like, it laid a foundation for me, but I always used to say I got closer to God when I left the church because
Yeah,
it was
I
like I
could
was
understand for
forced.
sure.
Yeah, it was like I was forced into it. And I think there's a real difference. And you said something very beautifully that I want to tie into this. There's a difference between trekking our kids off to church and them doing their thing and whatever versus having a relationship with God and a relationship with Jesus. And you said something that I thought was really beautiful, where you said you were having with yourself, like you were building your relationship with yourself. And I personally believe like that is foundational in having our relationship with Jesus or with God. Because when we are knowing ourselves and then we come into relationship, or even if we don't know ourselves, because a lot of us don't know who we are. And I mean, I still don't know who I am all the way either, but I got a good understanding at this point, right? Like I've kind of got an understanding. But when we come into that relationship with Christ, and I'm seeing it happen so much more now, and people are finding their own avenues with it, but like having a relationship with Jesus or with God, which I mean is the same thing. But like even for me, it took me a little while to get over that. Like getting over saying certain words. Like for years, I wasn't even able to say the word God, and then to also
Yeah.
like kind of tie that into Jesus. Um, it was tricky, and I'm still navigating that stuff. But I know that there is a relationship that is forming inside of my heart that wasn't there before, and everything is changing. So I'm curious how that happened for you as you were developing your relationship with yourself, and if you see any connections there of, and maybe it didn't happen for you, but was can you see any connection there of your own personal growth and how that led you to a relationship with Jesus or anything like that?
It was not, it was probably the most un uh unloving path, if that's
Okay.
even, it was not a pretty thing.
Mhm.
It was I don't know if it was me finding Jesus or Jesus finding me, or
Mm.
both. I
Yeah.
was I grew up Catholic as well. I grew up going to church, singing in the choir. I was very involved. It never felt quite like home. It never felt quite the truth that I was looking for. Um, Therefore, me leading into spirituality more.
Yep.
More I grew up. Um, but last year, I suffered a great loss. I lost someone really, really dear to me, and it was probably one of the hardest things that I have gone through. But even before this person passed away, I could feel this pull and this presence that was very constant. It was very dear and calm, but yet very clear that it was calling me. And I've always been quite sensitive spiritually, so and I knew that it felt like a Jesus God type presence and nothing else. And I kept paying attention, and it just kept saying, "Hey, look at me." And I knew it was God, and I didn't know how to respond to it, but it was so persistent in a calming, loving way, but so persistent on a daily basis, on a daily basis that I felt that I needed to give it my attention.
Mhm.
So I started to, and I was like, okay, how can I feel this need to connect with Jesus again. It was just born out of nowhere. It was just a sensation I had, a calling that I was feeling. Didn't really didn't really come from anything per se.
Mhm.
And I found this TV show called The Chosen that most people now know. It's done pretty famous. It's about Jesus,
Mhm.
and it really intrigued me. So I started watching episode after episode, and for some reason that show um, was filling that gap for me. I felt
Mhm.
like getting something from it, and it was making me closer to that calling that I was getting. And unfortunately, soon after, about a week or so of this happening, of this energy flowing through me, I lost someone very, very dear and very close to me, in a very tragic way. And I had never felt God's presence so close to me, and I had never
Mhm.
felt so held by Him until that moment. It was
Mm.
almost like, looking back, I see it as, Jesus was preparing me for the loss, and He knew that I had to have my eyes on Him, um, and that I had there would be nothing else for me to lean on in that point, because it was such a great pain that I don't think, not family, not friends, not anyone could helped me out of it. And through the grief of this loss, and um, I found Jesus, and that's how my relationship grew and it developed. Was really through, the sleepless nights, the crying, the you know. There's only so much your family can help you, and especially in an instance like for me, I don't have family close to me. I live by myself here in Ottawa, so there was no physical touch that I could get or support. And then obviously you're living your day to day life, going to work as if nothing happened, living your life, pretending that everything is okay, and that takes so much effort. And at the end of the day, all I wanted was that hug, that person to hold me so that I could cry. And when I didn't have that, I had Jesus. And
Mm.
it was so loving to have found him, even though through such an unfortunate circumstance. It was so loving that I really truly felt that hug. Like
Mhm.
on the physical, spiritual level, I felt his presence day after day, night after night, and I knew that I would never turn my back away from him, no matter how things would get better from that point on. I knew that this was a relationship for life, and I'm really truly grateful that I have that relationship with Jesus now, and I know it's always going to be developing and growing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's how my path sort of restarted, because I did grow up believing in Jesus, but I think it's different when you experience something like this, and it's not just something that it's vaguely taught to you.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've had my own personal experiences of actually feeling Jesus give me a hug as well. Like it's happened like 2 times maybe, and it's
Yeah,
a feeling that it's real, like it's a real feeling, and it's amazing how your story mirrors a lot of mine too, where I was in a point where I I mean, it's different, your story and how I came to realizing something needed to change in my life and I needed a relationship with God. But it was in a low moment, like probably one of the lowest moments of my life. And I realized something has to change. And it was very intuitive. It just came from my heart that it's like, I need God at the center of my life. Every aspect of my life needs to be God at the center because it wasn't before. And so I think that's really remarkable. And a lot of people's stories are that way, where it's like they had something wild happen in their life. And that was that breaking open that allowed the light to shine
yeah,
in.
It's so true. I remember you saying um, at some point in my life when I was younger that how the cracks and the breaking is what allows the light in.
Yeah,
And
it
I
is.
think at that point I had never felt more shattered. So maybe that's what um, prepped me
Yep.
to receive him in that way.
There
But
was a lot of cracks. Yeah. There was a lot of cracks. And so there was a lot of opportunity for him to get in. And I'm
yeah,
so happy that you received it. Because like you said, like there's that could have been a different story
yes,
if you
it
didn't
very much
receive
has been. It
Jesus.
was an opportunity for me to change as a person because it changes you. Loss
Yeah.
and grief, it changes you on a soul level.
Yeah.
It was an opportunity for it to have happened in a totally different way, in a more negative way, and fortunately, it made me much stronger as a woman. So
Yeah.
grateful
Yeah.
for that. But yeah, now I've mainly been focusing on, kind of building a community for myself. After finding Jesus, I was like, who else loves Jesus? This beautiful, beautiful church that I go to, where I got baptized. I got baptized within a month of Jesus coming to me in that way, and
Wow.
going through the loss within a month's time. I made a decision to give my life to Him, and I have found such a beautiful church that I'm just so grateful to be a part of. And beautiful woman that also,
Mm.
and it's honestly great, especially for me, right? Because as I've mentioned, I've always lacked on that part, community part,
Yeah.
because I am very much on my own here. Um,
Hmm.
so I don't feel so lonely now.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. My I have thoroughly enjoyed learning about some of the women that knew Jesus. And so I've read some books about Mother Mary or Mary Magdalene. Something came across my feed the other day in my awareness about the story of Ruth. So I'm like interested in learning about her a little bit now. Because, at that time, it wasn't very predominant that these women were featured as much, as storytellers and in the historical text. But there is actually a lot of information out there. And that's actually kind of how it started for me too. Aside from that like low moment, like I could see there was this calling. I would have experiences with my maternal grandmother, and then like I had these experiences with Mother Mary, and then I started to learn about Mary Magdalene, and I was like, wow. And so it was kind of like the women that were bringing me to learn and have a relationship with Christ. And for me, that's the most important thing, is that it's a relationship. I'm not going to be one ever who's going to be able to sit down and quote Bible texts and all this kind of stuff. And I say to my pastor too, I'm like, I come in here and I ask God to give me my message. Like, what's it for me? Because I come in to receive my message, and I always get something. And
Yeah. Isn't it beautiful? I love going to church. I go every Sunday. I love going so much. I always leave with something. There's always a
yeah,
little gift for me. There's always,
yeah,
in some way, it fits into what I'm currently going through in my life.
yep,
And, God's word just has its way to speak right through
yep,
you.
yep.
And then it's very beautiful. I'm actually currently reading a book. I believe it's called Living in Martha's World,
Mm,
with the heart, something of the sort. And it's basically talking about how, the busy working mother, busy woman, busy life, and yet still building a relationship with Jesus, even though sometimes we
mm,
think, oh, I should be making more time for prayer. I should be making more time for to communicate with him and be more present. And life just is pulling me in such different directions, and
yeah,
that can make you feel a little bit like you're not doing enough, or you're not
yeah,
worthy of that relationship with him because you're not putting in as much time. And I think that book I haven't finished reading, but so far it's taught me that it's in the little moments. Everything is in the
Absolutely.
little moments and the little choices, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what I've seen such a quick turnaround in my own life within a year is first thought in the morning is I'm having a conversation with God. And by the end of the day, I'm closing it off with a conversation with God. And that, I've done other things in my life where I'm like, I want this to be my first action every morning. And it has been the most challenging thing ever. But
Yeah.
default now. And it's in it's in our embodiment. Like this whole series that I'm putting out is called the Embodied Women series. It's in our embodiment that we give thanks, that we demonstrate God's work. It's when we are kind to that person, when we are kind to ourselves, when we are gentle to somebody who wasn't nice to us. All of these little things, it's all in those little moments that we are demonstrating that we are Christ-like. I believe, and I have it tattooed on my leg, like heaven on earth begins within. I believe like Christ consciousness, it's a consciousness, right? And us embodying it, like who Jesus was to teach us and to show us. And it's like when we can become that, when we can be that, when we can live that, that's when things start to change. And reverting back to the beginning parts of our conversation, like how when you showed up for yourself, you started to see your lineage change. Well, it's the same thing with this whole planet. When we start to show up loving and kind to ourselves, it's going to make us loving and kind to each other. And then that's just going to ripple on out. And that's how heaven on earth actually happens, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. I just, gosh, I love women. I grew up with such a strong, courageous mother, and I'm, oldest of six girls. I have five younger sisters. I have strong, beautiful aunts. I just grew up with such a, so many strong women around me that, and 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 all of them believing in God, all of them in their own way having that relationship, and I can see the depth of how that's grown. Even with my mother, it's changed her on so many levels. I remember there have been areas of her life that she just simply could not change. They just would not change for her. It was just an endless cycle, and then through relationship with Jesus, he helped her change those things,
Yeah. Yeah.
and how her life has changed, and how our relationship with each other has changed, and how talking about God and Jesus has brought us so much closer to one another.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really
That's
a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and that's by far one of the best pieces around when you go and choose to have a relationship and then you go to church and you find community, because that's what it brings us all together. Like we're never meant to do any of this alone. And so I think that's one of the best things that's happened for me. It's like I have just found this amazing community of people. And it's like, "Oh my god, this is so amazing." So I'm glad
Yeah.
that is
Our,
something
our,
we can
our
get.
slogan, if you may call it, at churches, we don't do life. We do not do life alone.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's honestly,
Yeah,
especially that I think over the years I'd gotten so used to doing life alone,
yeah,
making it on my own, being strong all the
yeah,
time. Because I think that's just what's required of a woman sometimes in this world. If you don't have family, it especially puts you in a position that you have to be kind of
yeah,
on guard and protective of yourself, and but yet still strong. And yeah, no, through church I feel calmer, and I feel a part of something. I feel like I don't have to be as strong all the time. That
yeah,
yeah, I'm actually stronger for going to people that love me and love Jesus. So
yeah. That's beautiful. Oh, I'm so
yeah,
happy. So if there's anyone who is listening to this that has felt a pull or a spark, or is even maybe they haven't, but like, I don't know, something that you're saying or something that I'm saying is really speaking to them. what advice would you give them in beginning like their relationship with God?
Hmm. So one thing that comes to mind for me, I think sometimes we don't know where to start. And for me, the easiest thing, even when I don't know where to start, even till this day, when I don't know where to start, I start with gratitude. I
Hmm.
just drop down to my heart and I start thinking of everything that today and right now is working out for me and that God has blessed me with. And then I just start from there. Hey,
Hmm.
God, today I don't know exactly where to start this conversation with you. There's so many feelings, there's so much happening in my life. Maybe I don't want to complain and bring about that energy, but thank you for my job. Thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for the battles you have fought in my behalf and for my friends, for the community that you've brought me. And then I just start from there and it starts
Yeah.
developing. It always brings me, I always find things that I didn't even know I was grateful for. So
Hmm.
it always expands in a way that this energy just starts growing of gratefulness towards him. And then I always in the end, because as it grows, I always in the end say, thank you so much for even the pain,
Hmm.
even the challenges, and everything that I've been through, because through your empowering and through your strength through me, it made me who I am and
Hmm.
made any challenge that comes later in my life be the reason for me to become the woman of your dreams.
Hmm. I love
And
that.
even so, like even the things that have been so painful, how his plans are just so beyond our imagination, beyond our understanding sometimes, that we only can understand sometimes years later. Just
Yeah.
how even the painful things are meant to happen,
Yeah.
and how he's always been there for us, even when we
Hmm.
didn't see him or perceive him, the care that he had, because things could have always gone much worse. And
Yeah.
the lessons that brought and how that's changed me as a woman and brought me closer to him. So everything that's happened, now I'm like, look what I've gained. I gained a relationship with you. So even for those, obviously they have their place and
Yeah.
they are they are what they are, but
Yep.
you always find a way to, through that practice of gratitude, I always find a way to feel grateful even for the pain and for
I
those
love that.
less good
Yeah.
experiences.
And that's like alchemy, right? And I love that you say start with gratitude. I often share that with my daughter, with other people. Like when we pray, like let's start with thank you before we ask for anything, because it's a relationship. Like imagine if I just called you up all the time and I just only called you to like ask for something or to complain about something. Like that's not going to feel so great. So like begin with thank you and then
Hmm.
ask for something, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, I'm so happy for you. And thank you so much for sharing all of this. It's, again, I've said it before, like just witnessing your growth has just been amazing. And the mysteries of life and just how it brought you into these places, and all of us, right? But to be able to be thankful for the hard times is very noble and beautiful, and a place that definitely some people can get to, but some people can
Yeah.
never imagine being grateful for that. But you have just worn the lens of love, and it's beautiful.
I think it takes time and a
Hmm.
certain level of understanding. And to be honest, I'm not there all the time.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
There are times where I'm very much frustrated and in pain, and why did this happen? And I don't understand. And that's where the compassion for yourself is important, is to allow yourself to be in those moments, because that's the process to get to the other side. So when
Yeah.
I am feeling when I'm in grief, when I'm feeling lonely, when whatever it is that I'm going through, I fully allow it to exist
Yeah.
and be
Yeah.
its own valuable experience because
Yeah.
it always has something to teach you.
Yeah. And you have to feel it to heal it.
You have to heal it. That is very true. And there's no safer place to feel your pain and to feel anything than in Jesus's arms. That's what I've felt through loss and through the experiences I've been through. Um, is that there is no safer place than in his arms
I
because it's
love it.
very, very unconditional, the space that he has for you. And like even the greatest therapist and the greatest person can't, in a way, he can.
Yeah. Yep. It's true. It's true. Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing all of this. I value you and your time and your presence and your wisdom and your life experience. So thank you for sharing it with all of us. You're so deeply loved, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Melissa.
my pleasure.
Bye, sweetie.